Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. I saw a really interesting headline that said that Anthony Joshua gets called by Tyson Fury sometimes, and Fury says he's going to knock Joshua out. And that made me chuckle, and I thought that sounds exactly like Tyson Fury, classic sort of Tyson Fury. And it made me sort of instantly think, is this him trying to implement some mind games in case that they ever do fight, starting the mental warfare early? But then I actually, read the quotes and saw the clip, and it's not really sort of a fair representation of what Joshua really said, because what he did say got me thinking about something else entirely, which I'll get to. But he said of Tyson Fury, this is Anthony Joshua, he's an interesting character. Tyson will call me randomly on the phone and he will be like, have a little laugh, and I will have a little laugh, and then I will say, I'm going to knock you out. And he will say, shut up, I'm going to knock you out. That's just me and Tyson through and through. The respect's there. We're fighting men. And it actually got me thinking about the whole sort of public personas that these heavyweights project in public versus the private friendships or comradeship that they often, can and often have. When you actually pull back the veil a little bit, just in this sort of instance as Joshua has done, often there's not actually the sort of animosity that you might think that there is, especially if they're both calling each other on the phone for chats and joking about knocking each other out. Hardly seems like a lot of sting in the tail for that one. And I know that for some fans, hearing that Joshua and Fury have some sort of relationship, that they're likely on better terms than has been previously thought, or, that's been sort of portrayed in public, it might be a bit mind-bending, especially given the lengths that they often sometimes go to in public to sort of, tear each other down, over performances, over opponents, over skill level, technique, or whatever. Often it's whatever that they can latch onto at a given time to sell themselves to their fans and fans more broadly, and position themselves within the heavyweight division. They are creating a persona which is what they want to portray in public. And make no mistake, the public persona part is very important. It's often what separates heavyweights from their peers. A lot of these guys that have zero personality often can have the same level as someone who's a bit more brash and bold, but gets far more attention than maybe their record deserves. It gets people interested in their careers, what they're doing, what they're trying to achieve. It also helps create their most ardent fans, otherwise known as fanboys. And if they didn't create public personas, and if some of these more brash heavyweights, like a Tyson Fury, for example, if they didn't make controversial statements and generate media headlines, some of these fighters wouldn't be in the headlines. They wouldn't be in fans' minds nearly as often as they are. I think Fury and Deontay Wilder are among the best at saying and doing outlandish things in public. And then you hear from people who've met with them in a private setting, and you hear that they're the most humble, the nicest guys that you actually meet. There is a separation there. The takeaway is that these guys and their representatives, especially Wilder and Fury, they know how to play the game. There is an art to it. Using the media, using social media to drive an agenda, to drive their public persona. And you look at someone like Wilder, for example, who hasn't been in the ring for a number of months now. His next fight is not quite set yet, but yet he's still generating a disproportionate amount of headlines. He's doing a good job of it. And let's face it, if all heavyweights were on the humble persona, 100% in a small sort of personality band, it certainly would make the division a much more dull place, devoid of much of the drama that we've seen in recent years. And often that drama is what fills the gaps between the fights. And let's face it, we don't nearly get enough fights that we would like and hope for. And you do need a spectrum of personalities, and that also in turn caters to you and I, the fans, who have different likes and dislikes of, what we see in a boxer and how they present themselves in public. Some people like a bold heavyweight, someone who's brash, makes outlandish statements. Others like guys who are a bit more humble, who like to, do their talking in the ring. And just another thing to toss in here, being a top heavyweight boxer, boxing more broadly, it certainly is a vocation that's not really held by many, not in a professional sense. But not many probably understand the rigors of being a professional boxer. It's not really understood by many. So it's no surprise to me that top heavyweights like Fury and Joshua would gravitate to each other to a certain extent. And on the way up in the heavyweight division through different training camps, a lot of these guys have been exposed to each other, have made friendships, have a lot in common. And to emphasize the point of what an exclusive club heavyweight boxing is, there's only 1,297 active heavyweights according to BoxRec in the world right now. Consider that there's a population of over 6 billion. It's a very small club, a very exclusive club, and it's an even smaller club when you get to the top end of the division with the more elite heavyweights. And when you sort of think about it in those terms with the small numbers and what it takes to sort of get in the ring, the graft that you have to put in, when people do say this guy's, he's only top 50, he's a top 100 fighter, he's only a top 200 heavyweight. And I've been guilty of it myself. I mean, we do categorize these fighters by their skills and the level that we believe them to be at. But in the scheme of things, it's still a mighty achievement just to get that far. To be campaigning with a winning record, even though you might have some losses, even multiple losses, it doesn't mean that you're not a good heavyweight. And especially in such an unforgiving sport like boxing, I think we have to respect the grind and the work some of these guys put in. Only a small percentage of these fighters will ever get paid really good money. Most of these guys are scraping together a living. It's only a small handful that are really getting paid at millions and millions at the top end of the division. It's kind of like life more broadly. It's like a pyramid. You have a lot of people towards the bottom getting paid maybe okay, but nothing great. And there's a tiny portion at the top getting paid, mega amounts. But also there's comments from Joshua, and I'm kind of just going way off the reservation here. It did make me think about how demanding we are as fans of these fighters, how much we expect. And I guess that's the reality of pro sports, especially one like boxing, which it does thrive on drama after all. It does need that to pull in the casual fan, which actually pays the bills. And I guess with admissions from Joshua of phone calls with Tyson Fury that there is a relationship, that there is a respect there, it often shows it's not personal when making derogatory comments in public. It's just business. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.